this video, I'm going to talk about a few tricks for memorizing poetry. Now, I work with a lot of children, so I know that these work with children, but they'll probably work with adults too. I've done a few of them myself and find them very useful. We're going to make the assumption that the student has done a lot of exploration or analysis if they're older and has adopted an approach, an attitude, and now all that's left is the sheer grunt work of memorizing it. Okay, the first trick is what I call the cue to cue game. And you can play this two ways, between a teacher and a student, or the solo approach for just the student alone, in which a lot of paper is involved. I actually use the cue to cue approach while the student is learning the poem, but it's also useful for later stages. For the teacher and student, the teacher gives cue lines and lets the student fill in the missing bits, starting with just keywords and then gradually working up to full lines. As the teacher, be really fussy that the text is spoken exactly as written. No missing or added words, no wrong tenses. For an older student working alone, they write out the poem, leaving out chunks of it, and then while they rehearse the poem, read parts of it and then fill in the missing bits. And gradually you're working towards all you have is the first letter of each line. The second game I call where the student simply recites the poem in a different place every day. If you're in the studio, you might take them out in the hall, see if they can say it out there. If it's a nice day, take them outside. The point is to improve the concentration, forcing the student to deal with external stimuli, different sound environments. Now, it's really important that the student actually says it and not just silently says it in the head. Speaking is a physical act, so when you do it, there's some muscle memory involved. And yes, if you have action cues that help you memorize things, use those too. Eventually, you weed out and just the muscle tension is left, which is good. The third game I'm going to call Speak and Do, and it's where the student does some other activity while they're reciting the poem. Again, it's very important that they actually say the poem out loud and not just silently in their heads. Some examples of activities might be lying on the back with your feet up while marching, doing dishes, sweeping the floor, taking a shower, folding laundry. The possibilities are endless. This really helps to feel the poem inside yourself, that it's part of you, so it feels natural, and you get used to the sound of it coming out of your mouth. A fourth game that you can play is, well, we'll call it vocal play. It's where you say the poem in different ways. Say it as fast as you can. I remember doing this in theater school. They called it an Italian. Or say it as slow as you can. And if you're musical, sing it. Make up your own melody as you go along. Another thing, of course, is to practice saying it in front of other people, even if it's just one or two people. Being watched by somebody can really throw your memory for a loop, so you need to practice saying it in front of people. And practice trying to remain audience-centered. Trying to connect with your audience, making sure that they understand every word, that they hear the music of the poem. Don't worry if they like it. Just really want them to understand it. Love it yourself, and I bet you they'll love it too. Another thing to consider is let the audience change your relationship to the poem. Don't be afraid of that. Something might come up for you when all of a sudden you hear the poem in a new way by the mere fact that there are other people there. That's great. There are no doubt lots of different ways to memorize poems. I'm sure you have a few of your own. And if you do have one, please share it in the comments. We'd love to hear it, and we can all learn from each other. Thanks a lot.